What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Welcome to the Lethal Truth. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we're doing something quite different today. Give me a second. We're doing something quite different today. Thank you for tuning in. I know y'all could have been anywhere else, but y'all here with me today. You know what I mean? And we always say, welcome to the truth, for the truth shall set you free by any means necessary. It could be mentally, it could be physically, depending on your situation. You could be incarcerated, and the Lord, you know what I mean? Today, like I said, we're doing something different. I'm here setting up with on by my bar, you know. Just give me a second. So as I said, you know, we're doing something quite different. Hit that like button as soon as you get in the room. Hit that subscribe button as soon as you step into the room. Today we got a good show. We're not gonna talk about the Diddy case today. You know, it's been dragging out long enough. You know, a lot of people, as you can see, is not too interested in the Diddy case right now because it's so much that's just been said, right? Let's keep it real. So much has been said. And to be honest, everybody was just waiting on Cass. Nobody cares about what else is going on in Diddy trial. You know what I'm saying? Boss lady, what's up? Lethal Seduction in the room. Of course, my favorites. So we're gonna give it a minute and we'll wait for some people to tune in. We definitely talking about Ibrahim Traore. Traore, excuse me if I'm pronouncing it right. It's definitely a black revolution that's going on right now. And it's crazy because they're trying to separate our mind frame from what's going on right now, which is a black American revolution, along with the bridging the gap with Africa. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want us to pay attention to what's really going on out there. So they want to stick us with Diddy case and they want to drown us with that to keep us distracted. And pretty much more, they want to distract us with this nonsense with Remy and Papoose relationship that's going viral right now. I know it's I ain't gonna lie, I was in it too. It was definitely entertaining until I got to the point where I started to see that Papoose was responding to Remy on Texas on the low. So that lets me know that they were still hollering at each other while they're still in a relationship, which means as a married couple for over 15 years, they both were still smashing behind their girlfriends or boyfriends' back. That's the only thing they haven't been honest with yet. Let's keep it real. But we ain't going to dig into that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're going to give it a minute and then we're going to tune in. Okay, we in the building. We in the building. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. So right now we're talking about Ibrahim Torate. But prior to that, you know, or at the same time, is that been going on, especially in America? You've been having a lot of black people. Hey, Monica, what's up? You got a lot of black people that's stepping up, especially those that consider themselves um foundational black Americans, those who felt that their ancestors was kidnapped from Africa and brought over here, those that was already over here and then been colonized into the name called American, which is a European um, Latin name that derived from Europe, where they came over here and they conquered this part of the continent, this country, and decided to call it a European name that has nothing to do with black people. But yet black people still want to call themselves American. That's granted. You want to call yourself named after a European. I mean, it's pretty much, how would I say? It's pretty much no different because our last name is Europeans. You know what I'm saying? The only thing we start tearing down is the first name. Where to the point, remember growing up, they used to say, you know, oh, you got to have a certain name where white people can pronounce. If they can't pronounce it, you don't get a job. Times has changed. We're not our ancestors. If you can't pronounce it, then it's best for you to ask us how to pronounce it. And that's the best way you're going to get it. If not, oh well. You know what I'm saying? That's your problem. That's not ours. Because when it's time for us to get a name on a paper that's pronounced Avaradamche, we don't throw a tantrum. We just say we can't pronounce it. You know what I'm saying? We're not from France. We're not from Italy. We're not from Paris. You know what I mean? So when it comes to us, if you don't understand our last name, that's your fault. That's not our problem. You know what I'm saying? We can understand our last name. You know why? Because this is our culture. This is what we grew up around. So we're not trying to dumb down and, and shift our name and our culture onto yours. You already kidnapped us. You already did all that. So it's a new day. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, fundamental Black Americans, they causing ruckus right now because they feel that everything that Black people made over here belongs to us and it came from us. You know what I'm saying? And white folks, they step in and they want to take everything. You know what I mean? We created the stoplight. They take it and want to make tickets and give us tickets for running the light. You see what I'm saying? This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, this is important where I said, this is why I have to talk to y'all. I know I've been caught up in the Diddy trial and giving y'all the input, but I just wanted y'all to really realize what's going on so they don't try to railroad our brother, although he's not an angel. But when it comes to these charges, he's an angel 100%. You know what I mean? But I don't want to distract y'all from what's really going on in the real world. So in the process of that, foundational Black Americans, they're trying to take everything that's theirs. They want their own history. They don't want to be able to go to school and just be bombarded with just white history. I saw on TikTok the other day, a white dude said, they asked him, what do you consider on Black History Month? Do you consider it racism? And he said, yeah. He said, and I kind of understand why he felt that way. He said, because every year, he said, we don't have a white American history. So every year when we turn around, you got to force us into Black history. I was like, damn, he got a point there. But here's the thing. You don't have white history because every month when we go to school and we pick up our social study books, you forcing your Caucasian lies down our throat. You're talking about how great George Washington was when he owned 1,000 slaves. How what is his name? Thomas Jefferson, how great he was because he had a Black slave he fell in love with, who he never gave his freedom to. But you want to talk about him like he's made of gold, like he's honorable. No, all these is trash. They're garbage and needs to be teared down. But you force that upon our head. The only reason why, to be honest, why we need Black History Month is because Black people, 98% of them in this country is deaf, dumb, and blind. What do I mean? They don't have no knowledge of self. And I'm not talking about, hey, my name is Brian Morgan, I don't know myself. No, I'm talking about the knowledge and wisdom of yourself, far as where you came from and your ancestors and where you're going. Because if you don't know your past, you ain't gonna know your future. You're gonna just grab onto somebody else's past and fulfill their future. Like white America, we've been fulfilling their future for 400, 500 years. Now they got an attitude. Now we want to step out of their limelight and we want to fill our future. It's a problem. It's a problem. FBA's come out, always says, yo, we want our people to learn our history. You got a problem with that. And I always used to wonder why you have a problem with this. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because Black people in this country is 100% threat to the white structure. When America was colonized, it was colonized for white people. The laws was for white people. The system was for white people. And the future that they predict for their descendants was to benefit from these laws and this structure. So when we started to get free, we had a problem with the Reconstruction era. You didn't look at us as human beings to the point you had to make a 14th Amendment. I believe it's the 14th Amendment where you had to name us citizens. But today, Donald Trump said he wants to remove that. And you Black people didn't even peep what he was trying to do. He was actually trying to revoke your citizenship because that's where it came from. That's where it came from. He know the war is on, but you don't know the war is on. So that's why you running around saying, yo, he's doing this. Why he's attacking us? Because he know who his natural enemy is. Not you. You don't know who your natural enemy is because you deaf, dumb, and blind. You have no knowledge of self. You don't know where you came from. So when you go to school, the first thing you learning about is George Washington. When it comes to Black history, all you learning about is Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That's when I was growing up. Right now, you only knowing about Oprah and Michael Jordan. You probably hear about Martin Luther King because they want to make you nonviolent. But why you think you don't have no history on Malcolm X? Because he's going to inspire you to get violent. See, you can't have blood without revolution, and you can't have spilled blood. I'm saying you can't have revolution without spilling blood, and you can't spill blood without revolution. That's mandatory. That's going to happen. You can't duck behind that. There's no marching. There's no peace treaty. There's none of that. And white folks know that. This is why J. Edgar Hoover came out with the COINTEL program, because he wanted to stop all the Black leaders from rising, because he didn't know who the Messiah was. They know who the Bible was about. They know. It says it in Genesis. It said, your descendants will be taken to a land that is not theirs and will be afflicted for 400 years. You see, the Jews don't jump up and say that's us in Egypt, because they know no slavery ever happened in Egypt. So they drown you with nothing but just high Hitler. They just drown you with Hitler stories and what they went through for 10 years. Meanwhile, they had controlled the transatlantic slave trade for over 400 years, but yet they want you to feel sorry. I don't feel sorry. I don't feel, excuse me, matter of fact, I'm going to say I feel sorry for what happened to those who felt they was innocent and was brainwashed. But those that know their history and those that benefit off of our pain and struggle, I don't sympathize with your struggle when it comes to Hitler. Hitler knew exactly what you was up to. Everywhere you went to in the world, they ran you out because you wanted to run the money, you wanted to run the economic system, you wanted to run everything and oppress those and make it seem like that God chose you because what is written after you stole somebody's religion. No, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. That's no such thing. It's either you're in a religion, what's your color? Stop trying to turn it into a color. But we're not gonna go too much into the Jews. But I want you to understand why this revolution is taking place and why I'm saying what I'm saying, because all around the world, outside of the New World, when it came to us, they had to colonize it so they could benefit in their old world, because they don't have no natural resources. You heard anywhere in Europe where anything is coming over here, natural resources? You don't hear about food, you don't hear about oil, you don't hear about gas, you don't hear about nothing. The only thing you hear about coming out of Europe is death and destruction. That's it. Every time you get around white folks, that's what you see. Now, white folks that's listening to me, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not really talking about you. I'm talking about those who want to benefit off this white supremacy system and don't want to release it, because they know if they release it, those who say they're not racist, you're going to feel a power structure shift, and you're going to start living in the hood. You're going to start being a minority. You're going to start being looked at as a nigga. And most of you don't want that. Y'all don't want that. And this is how you also can see those who's really racist. They will tell you they're not racist, but if you remove what they can benefit off, you'll see how much they don't like your people overnight, or you for that matter. So as the FBAs around here during the pandemic, we had something going on where Black people wanted to do for us and for by us, especially in the process of the killing of George Floyd. So on the internet, a lot of Black people started their Black-owned businesses on the internet, and this raised concerns to white America because they saw a power shift happening again. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. In the late 90s, and better yet, I would say from the 80s to the 90s, Black people just like wearing white people clothes. Polo, Azad, Nautica, Tommy Hilfiger. We loved all that white clothes until we started blowing up in rap music, and then Black people wanted to start making their own clothes. We didn't want to wear white clothes no more. So Rockefeller came out with Rockaware. You had Fat Foam, you had Baby Fat, you had Fubu, you had Cross Colors, you had Carcanine, and what was happening was nobody was wearing white people clothing no more. We was wearing the Jay-Z clothing. We was wearing Russell Simmons clothes. We was moving and wearing our own and dealing with our own. And this is what Tommy Hilfiger said. I quote. He said, we saw that we was losing billions of dollars. I said, God damn, he didn't say millions. He said billions of dollars. He said, so what we did, all of us in a clothing district of the world that actually sells, such as Tommy Hilfiger and all of those that I mentioned, they came together in a room and they decided how could they overcome this process. In other words, they was trying to say, yo, how can we defeat these Negroes and get back on top? You see what I'm saying? Because it was a power structure shift. Nobody wants your clothes anymore. See, we the biggest consumers in the world in this country. We make $1 trillion as a whole and spend $1 trillion as a whole. We control the culture. Everybody want to sing like us, rap like us, dance like us. It's so goddamn bad. They even want to kill their own like us. Am I lying? You go on scoops, you see it all day. They rolling up in the cars, killing their own like they us, the way they do it. So Tommy Hilfiger said when they got to that, hold on. Okay. Tommy Hilfiger said when they got to that point in life where they was losing a lot of money and they got into this room, they started to talk about how they could overcome the process. And this is what he said. He said our best option was to buy them out. So the first ones that left was Carcanine. Can't find him nowhere, right? The next one you saw was Cross Colors. They was gone. After that, Rockaware was gone. He sold Rockaware. Baby Fat was gone. Fat Foam was gone. Fubu was gone. Don't get me wrong, you could still find it in stores, but what they did was they make the design so how would I say unattractive, and they put it in the back section. Like you could go to any store right now, you won't even find a Rockaware or Baby Fat. You probably go to Bloomingdale's and you'll find it, but it'd be buried in a deep back somewhere that they just buried it. So right now, what everybody wearing now? We back to white clothes again. You see what I'm saying? We back to white clothes again. And then they take the artists and they take the NBA players and they give you a contract and they put your face on it and you be the face. As long as you attract the money coming into their pockets, it's all good. That's the great American way for them. So you being a good black man and a good black woman if you live like that. You be a good nigga and a good niggerette if you move like that. So things had to change. Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Malcolm X, a lot of people was telling us to do for self, for us, by us. You understand what I'm saying? So about a couple of months ago, I won't even say a couple of months, I'm gonna go back a little bit more. You had a lot of African presidents that stood up against America, stood up against the Western world. Because the Western world, and when I say the Western world, I'm talking about Europeans. They understand that they cannot live without us. When it was just Europe, before they came to the New World to find us, although we was in the Old World too, but not as much, right? They came to realize that if they didn't branch out, they would die. It had something called the Black Plague. There was always diseases that follows them. The book of Revelations in the Bible said, behold a pale horse, and on it sat death. Death don't sit on a horse. It's a parable. It's talking about someone that's Caucasian. It's talking about a Caucasian people. And on it sat death. Everywhere they go, death follows. white folks, if you listen, and this is not racism, you know this for a fact that anywhere your people go on the planet, death follows. If it's not physical death by weapons that you're trying to bully a country in, it's either diseases. You always bring some type of measles, mice, chicken pox. We never had that in the Holy Land. But as soon as you came, you brought all of that. As soon as you came with the candy bars, we stopped eating healthy and our teeth start falling out. We start being unhealthy. We start dying quicker because back then we was living almost 200 years old because we was vegans. And if we wasn't, the most cleanest animals we was eating was the fish out of the water until you got your hands into the water. Now it ain't even good to drink water. We don't even know what kind of water good to drink when you around. We don't know if it's pipe water. We don't know if it's the water in the store that's contaminated. But you saying spring water is good. We just don't know what you people, right? So, like I said, back then in Africa, you had a lot of people that was, coming into an uprising. Here for the knowledge, I was just saying this. Even now in the motherland, they don't take them damn shots. Yeah, they don't take them shots. Matter of fact, in the city, in the major city, they do take them shots because you got Europeans around. They bringing their McDonald's down there. They're bringing all that trash food down there. As soon as you eat it in 1 hour, you're hungry. It's not even real food. It's food that's designed to break your immune system down so you could get sick, so you could go to the pharmaceutical companies, so you could get them rich. That's all that's about. They don't want you to eat healthy. If they wanted you to eat healthy, then they won't have no problems with you listening to Dr. Sebi. But they done killed Dr. Sebi because Dr. Sebi was curing AIDS, he was curing cancer, he was curing high blood pressure, diabetes. All you had to do was eat healthy and leave all the meat alone. Because we came to find out that red meat carries cancer cells. Matter of fact, all meat that comes out of the water and on land, as far as four-legged animals, they carry cancer cells. So imagine you eating this all your life, and then you say, "Oh no, I got cancer," and then they want to lie to you and tell you, "Oh, it must have came down from your family. Do you have any family member that has cancer or heart problem?" We ain't had that in Africa. Now you worrying about what's coming on over here. That's because we eating wrong. Our immune system breaking down. So like I said, so when they reached this motherland, they saw all these natural resources. You understand what I'm saying? King, we need a video about Dr. CB Eniga. I think I'm gonna make one again. I made one before, but that was the time of me first starting. I was first starting my content. A lot of people wasn't gravitating to it, but I think I'm gonna do another one. But like I say, in Africa, you have all natural resources, right? This is where European found their resources to sustain white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, hold on a second. I had some books I didn't bring out. I guess I'll get it whenever I can. But there's some natural resources in Africa, right? Everywhere in Africa. Without Africa, no country on this planet can survive with the things we have right now. Whether you call it copper, gas, oil, minerals, diamonds, everything. It cannot survive without Africa. So white folks, they are trying to take over Africa. And this is what they do. 9 out of 10, they call you to the White House. They let black people see that we got an African president here. And for those of you that's unaware of what Africa is, it's not a country, it's a continent that consists of 52 to 54 countries. So I don't want you, because we always say, yeah, we're going back to Africa. Where? We're back in Africa because Africa is big. It's 10 times bigger than this country. So whatever you talking about, I wouldn't even say 10, I say 50 times bigger, right? So I don't know if you heard of this brother named, I believe his name is Idi Amin in Ghana, right? This is early 50s. And what they wanted to do, the Queen of England, she wanted to come over there because they kicked England out. They kicked the British out, kicked them out because you're milking all the resources. Their thing was this: they have something called IMF, International Monetary Fund. It's like the Federal Reserve Fund. These are Jews who prints the money for a lot of countries on the western side of the world, right? Like Africa and so forth. This is what they do, right? So these Europeans and these that's down with these other countries who are Europeans, all brothers and sisters, they get together and then they step to these countries like Ghana and they say, listen, we want to make a deal. We want your oil. We want your gas. We want your petroleum. And we're going to make a partnership with you. But the partnership is to make the people become slaves. So they'll give Ghana a loan as well, an IMF loan. They would say, listen, we'll give you 20 million of European money because right now everybody's leaning to, or everybody is and has been leaning to the European dollar, which is the American dollar, and BRICS is right in back of it. We'll get to BRICS because the American dollar is falling, and anybody's attached to that money when the countries fall, everything's falling at the same time. So the IMF will give a country like Ghana 50 million, right? And say you have to pay back with interest of 500 billion. There's no way they making that. It's no way they making that. And then you're already taking the resources. It should be 50-50, but you want it to be 80-20, and you take the 80 and you threaten them with your military presence. Now they feel oppressed. And then you got those that's in high places in the African government of whatever country it is, they taking bribes. So you got snakes. So they take the bribes. They don't care about the country as long as they get rich, as long as they can feel like they're part of the European former slave master way. They sell their country out. And then you see on the news, why are people in Africa starving? Why the flies is all flying around? It's pretty much that's old commercials anyway. They just want you to donate to that fund so they could get money. But it's a bigger picture to that. It's no way in the world that Africa, any African country, should be poor. It's no way. It's impossible. They have 100% natural resources. This country don't have no resources. They just have stuff that they just saving. Like you heard Donald Trump in inauguration saying, we still have oil. Yeah, you got some oil that won't even last 2 weeks or 30 days in this country if everything's shut down. So stop acting like you got something. No, you don't have, this country don't make nothing. This country are the top nigga in the EBT center because they beg. That's all this country do. It begs. It begs for everything. It makes nothing. As a matter of fact, the only thing it makes over here is steel. They make, bikes and cars out of American metal, but that's it. The American metal don't even cost that much. I'm gonna prove it to you. One time I took my Lincoln Navigator to the junkyard. You know how much I got for it? $500. You know how heavy an extra large Navigator is? You know how much that weight? It's because the steel ain't no money over here. So they need Africa. So you heard Idi Amin, he started kicking them out. He said, listen, if you, white people he's talking to, if you can't provide legal paperwork on how you got this land, then you got to give it to the land, give the land back to the people who claim that that was their land and they got the papers for it. So I'm gonna give it. He said, I'm gonna give you two options. It's either you could show me this and you sell it back to them, or you give it to them, or I'm gonna just take it. Yeah, I hope you can hear me now. Thank you. So, oh man. So you got another brother named Ibrahim Traore, right? Let me see. Ibrahim Traore. I believe that's his name, right? Brother's about 35 years old. He came into power as a captain in Burkina Faso, right? As a captain at an early age of 30, right? I had to pull my stuff out because it went out. I had to pull it out the laptop. So yeah, you can hear me now. So Ibrahim Toué, like I said, he became a captain within his early 30s, clean shaved brother. I'm gonna show you how he talked. This brother here, man. Woo-wee! He sent chills up my spine. Look, he took over the country in year 2022. It was a civil war. Because see, what Europeans do, and this was France at the time that was in the country. What Europeans do is if they can't take hold of the country, what they do is they go find some criminals on the street that have their gangs and spit this promising thing in their ear. And then they will say, yeah, we want to be a revolution. We want to fight for you, America. We ain't going to tell them nothing. And the American government will finance that revolution. So all of a sudden, these dudes got money, they got guns, they got jeeps, they got all of this. And they're fighting the government. And the government, in the meantime, is like, how the hell are they getting all this access? You don't believe me? Check out the movie Rwanda. Same thing. This is how they get the country. They cause a civil war. They cause us to fight one another. And they did that with Malcolm. Didn't they do that with King? Didn't they do that with the gangs right now? This is what they do, divide and conquer. That's the number one trick in the book because they ain't got nothing else. Their last resort is just killing up everything with guns. But the first thing is propaganda and divide and conquer. Hit that like button. Yes, here for the nonsense of a repeated cycle. You know what I'm saying? So they went over there with Burkina Faso, and what he did first, before they go over there, what he did after the 2022, he wiped all those rebels out. He ain't even 40. He ain't even 40. He over here trying to run a country. Some of y'all is 50 trying to run motorcycle clubs or gang clubs gang banging chapters, and y'all in your 50s and you can't even do it. You can't even work one chapter. He's running a whole country and he's not even 40 yet. So what he did was he took all the land from white folks. He took it. You know why? Because you're not the originators here. We are the original people. We are the original black man and woman from that land. As a matter of fact, scratch that. We are the original black man and woman of the face of the planet. Because before you came, Caucasian, we was here already. Europe, we was already there. We was already in a cold climate. That's why our skin complexion and the texture and of our bone structure is different from those in Africa because our bodies collaborates with the climate. You ever seen how in the wintertime you get lighter and in the summertime you get darker? It's the climate. So the cold air, it shifts our climates, especially since we've been integrating with white folks. That's why we don't look like those in Africa. But back to what I was saying. So Ibrahim, he Muslim, he ran them out. The first thing he did once he ran them out, he told them, listen, he went up into the courthouse, and in the courthouse, the black people, they wear them wigs, like Abraham Lincoln and all of them at the robe. He told them, take that off. You're not European, you African. Act like yourself and be yourself. I heard Honorable Elijah Muhammad always say that. Act yourself and be yourself. Act who you are. Stop acting like something you're not. You're not European. That culture is not yours. Stop acting like it. That's another reason why they don't respect us. because we want to adapt everything that is instead of creating our own. And when we do create our own, that's still a problem because it shows that they no longer have control of us, especially when it comes to this. Because you don't make what we like. We make what we like. So we're going to shop with us. But look, so Burkina Faso, right? After he did all of that, he built up the military because now he was the captain of the military. So he know the ins and out. He took over the whole country. Listen to this. Oh, I wish I had my book, man. Within a year, he took Burkina Faso out of debt. Let me tell you something. Before I even heard that, I didn't even know what the hell was Burkina Faso. Because we always hear about Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt, Zimbabwe, Rwanda. We always hear about these other African countries. It's some we didn't even hear of yet, like Burkina Faso. I never heard of that before. When I actually did online on TikTok and I actually went and looked at what it looked like, man, this looks a beautiful country. They had cities that look like New York City. I said, man, they really don't want us going over there, boy. That's why it's like 24 hours. Well, it's not like it is about 12 hours, 18 hours to fly over there. But they make it so expensive so you and I don't go over there. So they make Paris and all that bull crap that we don't come from, that don't mean nothing, cheaper so we could go over there and put all our money into their economy, the Western world. But not where we come from. But look, Burkina Faso took over the country. As of right now, he got white folks going crazy. Okay? He ran the whole France out, told them, don't even come back. No, we ain't doing no deals. We ain't doing nothing. We ain't sitting down. We're not negotiating. It's nothing to negotiate about. This is ours. Now, if you want to come back to the table and we can renegotiate to what I want, and what best for my country, then we can. France don't want to do that. As of right now, ever since he did that, France is third world country. They ain't tell y'all that. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. As of right now, ever since he did that, ran France out, they are now a third world country. Remember people used to go up and say, we going from France. Yeah, right. That's trash right now. Nobody wants to go there. They don't got nothing. As of right now, Burkina Faso country has free health care, free Medicaid. Look where we living at. We can't even get that. They supposed to be poor. Not only doing that, they got the gold. They got gold over there. Are you hearing me? They have gold. They showed in the gold mines when they had the young brothers, they was out there in the water and they was taking the gold, and France was milking it because France was taking it and wasn't telling them how much it was weighing and what was the price on a European aspect. They just tell them what they wanted, and this is how Burkina Faso was getting into debt. How the hell you in debt and you have oil, you have gas, you have gold? It's impossible. It's impossible. These and the enemy was taking, and it's not just Burkina Faso, it's throughout every country in Africa. They milking it. This is how they're able to survive. So he ran them out. Told them, yo, don't come over here no more. You crazy? Yo, let me show you something. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I could get it up for y'all. I want y'all to hear him. Just give me a minute. It's coming up. It's coming up.
A moment in the life of a nation when silence is betrayal, when continued obedience is suicide, and when bowing to the same hands that choke you is no longer diplomacy, it is surrender. My name is Captain Ibrahim Traore. I do not speak with the polish of career diplomats. I do not wear the cologne of multinational boardrooms members. I speak for a nation that has long been treated like a debtor's prison. And today I speak directly to the International Monetary Fund, not with trembling hands, but with a voice rooted in centuries of African pain and now African awakening. For too long, the IMF has posed as a benevolent doctor prescribing economic treatment to sick nations.
Now I want you to really listen to that, because he's actually talking to, he's actually talking to the IMF. He's talking to China. He's talking to Japan. He's talking to America. He's talking to France. Yo, hold on. This is taking too long. All right, y'all. I'm sorry about that. I'm always having technical difficulties. Oh no, man. You know what? All right, never mind. All right, so like I said, he's talking to the IMF. He's talking to China. He's talking to Japan. He's talking to America. And look how they all watching him when he talk. But you got to really listen to what he actually saying. What this brother's saying, listen to this.
But what we've learned, what we've suffered, is that your medicine often kills the patient. Your loans arrive with smiles, but they are poisoned arrows wrapped in contracts. You speak of stabilization, but you deliver strangulation. You speak of reform, but what you really mean is obedience to models built in foreign labs never meant for African soil. But we are not your laboratory. We are not your experiments. We are not pawns in your economic chess game. Burkina Faso and the whole of Africa is waking up. And when we wake, we do not ask for permission to breathe. You see, I come not to beg for cancellation. I come not to plead for relief. I come to tell you what no African leader has dared say loudly enough. We no longer accept economic policies that reduce our people to beggars. While our gold lines the vaults of the West, we no longer dance to the rhythm of conditionalities that gut our public services, cripple our farmers, and force our youth into exile. We no longer accept being told that good governance means handing over our national wealth to foreign firms with smiling. Council tense. So today we begin a new conversation, not one between debtor and lender, but one between equals, between nations, between truth and falsehood. And this is not a press release. This is a reckoning, and it begins now. One, the chains of debt, a modern form of slavery. Let us speak plainly without euphemism, without the polite lies of diplomacy. Debt, the kind you offer Africa, is not a tool of development. It is not a bridge to prosperity. It is a shekel. It is modern slavery dressed in suits and spreadsheets. You call it structural adjustment. We call it structural punishment. You label it financial discipline. We experience it as generational despair.
And I need you to really listen to what he's saying, because he's not talking like he's ignorant. He's very educated, very educated. And he's talking, you know how like normally when they interview Africans that come from another country into these type of establishments or White House, you always hear, you know, the accent, you know, they all try to pick on them. But just listening to this brother, they ain't even trying to have a sit down with him. They ain't even trying. Let's listen to him.
You offer it as partnership. But when one partner profits while the other bleeds, it is not partnership, it is plunder. Let me ask you, how can a nation rich in gold, uranium, cobalt, and fertile land be poor? How can a continent that fuels the industries of the world not afford to feed its own children? We are told it is mismanagement, corruption, incompetence. Yes, Africa has its wounds, but many of those wounds were inflicted by the very hands now offering us Band-Aids soaked in interest. Let me tell you what this debt looks like in real life, not on your PowerPoint slides, but on our streets. It looks like children studying by candlelight because the national power grid was privatized and sold to foreign investors who charge prices our people cannot pay. It looks like hospitals with broken beds, no antibiotics, and mothers dying in childbirth because your conditions demanded we slash public spending to qualify for your help. It looks like millions of African graduates with degrees in hand but no future, job-creating sectors were outsourced, sold off, or collapsed under your imposed liberalization policies. And worst of all, it looks like dignity broken. You see, the repayment plans you create are not economic formulas. They are death sentences. You lend us $500 million and ask for $2 billion in return over decades through interest restructuring fees, currency controls, and privatization clauses that rob us of our national assets. Tell me, what is the moral justification? You say the contracts were signed willingly, but let me ask, is it consent when the patient is bleeding and you are the only one holding medicine with a price tag and a clause? Is it choice when the gun is not pointed at your head, but at the starving child behind you? No, Your Excellencies at the IMF, this is not consent. It is economic coercion. This is not development. It is domination. This is not globalization. It is neo-colonialism in financial ropes. And we, the new generation of African leadership, are no longer blind. We are no longer grateful for crumbs from the tables our labor built. We are done applauding policies that hollow out our economies in the name of efficiency. We will no longer trade our sovereignty for loans that disappear into the hands of consultants, only to return as debt for our grandchildren. Let me be even more clear. Africa does not owe you. You owe Africa. You owe us for the gold taken on the colonial boots. You owe us for the minerals that power your smartphones while our villages remain in darkness. You owe us for the diamonds that dazzled your palaces while we bled in silence. And yet, even in all this, we are not asking for charity. We are asking for justice. True justice begins with the end of exploitative debt structures. Justice means allowing African nations to audit what we owe, where it came from, and who truly benefited. Justice means allowing us the dignity to chart our own financial futures, not as clients, but as equals. And if this message feels uncomfortable, then good, because it is time the comfortable were confronted. To the puppet strings, how the IMF undermines African sovereignty. To speak of sovereignty in Africa today is to speak of a dream deferred, a continent of flags and anthems. Yes, but true freedom that still hangs in question. To say we are independent, but independence without autonomy is illusion. And few institutions have done more to blur that line between self-rule and subjugation than the International Monetary Fund. You do not govern us, yet you draft our budgets, determines whether our economies collapse or breathe. You claim neutrality, yet the ink of your influence runs deep in the laws we pass, the leaders we appoint, and the limits of our own ambition. This is not financial aid. This is political engineering. You arrive with briefcases and blueprints, not bombs, but the damage is often the same. Behind your technical language lies a silent weapon, conditionality. It begins politely, cut subsidies, liberalize your markets, devalue your currency. They say just recommendations, but what are recommendations when starvation is the price of refusal? What are suggestions when the next loan, the next breath depends on obedience? Let us not pretend. You have become the architects of our internal affairs. We were told structural adjustment would create efficiency. Instead, it created dependency. We were told austerity would eliminate corruption. Instead, it eliminated hope. We were told the free market would lift us. Instead, it lifted our wealth and flew it offshore. And when our people protest, when they rise in anger and hunger and the agony of unmet needs, you do not take responsibility. You step back claiming you are merely observers. But history is watching. Your hands are not clean. From Ghana to Zambia, from Senegal to Kenya, we have seen it play out the same. Leaders forced to privatize water only for foreign companies to raise prices beyond reach. Farmers undercut by cheap imports, they kill local industries. Ministers told to cut spending on schools to balance the budget while foreign debt payments rise. And if we dare to resist, if we question your models or reject your prescriptions, we are blacklisted. Isolate, punished, our credit rating downgraded, our currencies attacked, our leaders vilified in international media as radical, unstable, or populist. But what is more radical than forcing a country to choose between feeding its people and repaying loans it never benefited from? What is more unstable than a society where youth have no future, no jobs?
See here, Fernandez is right. They wasn't ready for that speech. See, they actually thought when they called him up there that he was going to get it and he was going to be bullied or belittled like a lot of former other leaders that came before him. But he totally shot their whole, he took that whole speech somewhere else. Look.
Jobs and no faith in politics. Because their nation answers to banks before it answers to its people. Let us be honest. Your influence has too often been a veto on our dream. And yet we are not merely victims, we are rising. A new wind is blowing across this continent. We are reclaiming the right to govern ourselves and our languages for our people by our values. We will no longer accept debt that demands we cut essential services before asking the rich to pay taxes. We will no longer tolerate consultants writing our national strategies while our professors go unpaid. We will no longer bow to institutions that answer to shareholders, not citizens. To the IMF, I say this with clarity and calm. We will be sovereign, even if it means rejecting your loans. Even if it means slower growth, but growth that is ours. Even if it means pain for now, but freedom in the long run. Africa does not need masters, it needs partners. And if you can...
See, in other words, you could bring them sanctions on, they don't care as long as they know what they got. And even if they do get sanctioned, it ain't gonna work because they got gold. We're gonna keep going. Hold on, I'm gonna keep getting to it. I ain't gonna play it all because I know it's like 27 minutes. I know it's kind of long, but I'm gonna try to give you a nice chunk full.
Cannot walk with us as equals, then step aside because we are moving forward. And this time the strings are being cut. 3, a system designed to fail us. We were born into a system we did not build, a global order forged in the fires of empire with the spoils carved into contracts, laws, and institutions that still govern us today. When the colonizers left, they did not leave behind fairness. They left behind frameworks built to extract, not empower. You see, the problem is not just the IMF for food. It is the entire architecture, the rules of trade, finance, credit, and global power that are designed to keep Africa in second place. Designed not by God, not by nature, but by men. Powerful men who decided what value means and who deserves it. Let me ask a simple question. Why is it that we, the continent with 60% of the world's arable land, still import food? Why do we who sit atop gold, diamonds, oil, and lithium need foreign aid? Because the game was never fair. We were made exporters of raw materials, not builders of industries. We were assigned roles in the global economy like actors in a tragic play. You grow and they process, you extract, they manufacture, you borrow, they lend, and every time we try to rewrite the script, the penalties follow. Credit agencies slash our ratings. Multinational lobbies threaten sanctions. Tech giants pull out investments, and their media calls us unstable. But what is more unstable than a world where a continent of 1.4 billion people contributes the least to climate change, suffers the most? What is more irrational than a system where cocoa farmers in Cité d'Ivoire who feed the world's sweet tooth cannot afford chocolate? What is more unjust than countries who were once colonizers now lecturing us about governance, while sheltering the stolen wealth of African elites in their banks? And yet they call this order a meritocracy. They say work harder. They say be more transparent. They say attract investment, but what they don't say is this. Scoreboard was rigged from the beginning. The rules were never neutral. And the referees, the WTO, the World Bank, the IMF, serve the same teams who have always won. Let me give you an example. When we attempt to support local farmers with subsidies, we are told this distorts the market. Yet the US and Europe spend hundreds of billions on their own farmers every year and call it protection. When we try to build state industries to create jobs, we are told this is inefficient. Yet their richest corporations were born from state-funded innovation from NASA, from war, contracts, from public research. When we push back on exploitative mining contracts, they say we are hostile to business. But isn't it more hostile to extract $100 worth of resources and leave behind $3 worth of schools? Africa is not asking for pity. We are demanding fairness, not charity, justice, not handouts, equal footing. We are the youngest continent on earth. And yet the global economy treats us like we have nothing in what lies beneath our soil. It is in our people, our quota, all minds. They said the system works. We say for whom? It is time we stop playing by rules written without us and start rewriting them in our image. We do not seek to burn bridges, but we will not walk across those that lead only to more chains. So hear this clearly. We are not broken. The system is. And if it will not change willingly, then we, the children of Sankara, Nkrumah, Lumumba, and Biko, will end ourselves. Because we did not come this far just to survive. We came to thrive. And we will no longer wait for permission to rebirth. Africa does not need to beg for inclusion. Africa does not need another savior, another lecture, another conditional loan. What we need is a new path, one carved by our own hands, guided by our own vision, and rooted in our own values. Self-reliance is not isolation. It is not arrogance. It is the reclamation of dignity, of choosing to stand on partnership. But we are redefining its terms. For too long, partnership has meant dependence. It has meant waiting for approvals, for grants, for loans, while our people starve and our youth flee across the seas. This is not partnership. This is bondage with a friendly smile. So we must build differently. And it starts with 5 principles. 1, feed ourselves first. No nation is truly sovereign if it cannot feed its people. How can we speak of independence when a drought in another land dictates the price of bread in ours? We must invest in agriculture, not as a tool of survival, but as a pillar of power. From seed sovereignty to irrigation, from cooperative farming to agro-processing, Africa must rise from subsistence to abundance. Let every village become a fortress of food security. And let every farmer become a nation builder. To educate, to liberate. The most dangerous weapon colonialism left behind was not a curriculum that teaches us about foreign kings, but not our own heroes, that praises foreign philosophy.
Okay, that's enough for now. Y'all gotta tune in. He's on YouTube. They got the whole speech. I just don't want to join out for y'all. You know, y'all got the message so far. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Y'all got the message so far. Right now, at the end of that speech to the IMF, right, and all the world leaders, first of all, when that man came in, right, look, when he came in, he don't wear suits. That's white people stuff. That's why he said, oh, I'm not the one who come in here with suits and good ties and nice cologne. No, my man is military. He's in charge of the military in Burkina Faso. My man is the president over there, and he's still with his military uniform. And he came in there, it was none of that cologne. So he came in there, you could hear his boots going on the ground. He came in there with his head held up high, and he sat there and he told the enemy what they didn't want to hear. Told them, I don't need your permission. We don't need your permission in Africa. These 53 countries, we don't need your permission. This is what we gonna do. If you don't like it, then go to war. Let's go. He got Russia backing him. They done sent military over there. You know, don't get me wrong. Again, you know, those Caucasians too, they got something up their sleeve because they've been the enemy of America since God knows when. You know what I mean? Because when they was going at it with Afghanistan, with Afghanistan with the Taliban, Russia was like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, we've been trying to fight these people. What's happening? Come to find out, America was helping the Taliban all that time. This is what they do. The enemy, my enemy is my friend. So Russia ain't over there for their health. They know what they doing. China's over there too. Japan is over there. So they got a military might in Burkina Faso. This young brother knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? He knows what he's doing. He just saying, yo, listen, you can come over here and eat, but we're going to be a partnership. You ain't going to come over here and dictate nothing. I don't care what kind of nukes you got. We're going to just all die. We're going to just all die because you're not going to keep taking from our country. And right now, they're out of debt. He did that in 1 year after kicking them out. Why shouldn't he be out of debt? He got natural resources. Let me tell you what he did in 1 year. He got the economic and industrial to start, leveling up. As we said, it start popping, right? He got the gold refinery, which is in 2024, right? So what he did was he nationalized the mines of the gold. He nationalized it. In other words, if you want to get money with me, we're going to deal it fairly and you could get down. Certain countries like, no, we want you to be a slave. We don't want we don't want no nigga dictating to us. That's cool. Just go ahead and be the third world country like France. But he knows we doing. Look, the government nationalized the Bongas and Washington gold mines for $80 million, a discount from the $300 million price initially agreed by the Endeavour Mining Company, which is in France. So in other words, for those of you that don't understand that, let's say he had a big truck full of drugs and France was always moving it for $300 million. Now he took over the game. Now he's the connect. Now he's telling everybody, y'all don't got it. I don't got it for 300 million. My work in a truck, I downsize it to 80 million. You know how much people running over there for gold right now? He went from 300 million to 80 million. White people is upset because he's changing the game. And now at the end of that speech, he told all the Africans, yo, listen, if you want to still work with your colonizer, your enemy, this is what he said in the speech. He said, then you don't have the right to speak up for Africa. That's what he said. He said, you need to just shut up and let those that's for Africa speak up for Africa. Damn. He ain't even 40 yet. We still trying to figure out how to pay our bills. He's getting a goddamn country out of debt. This dude is intelligent, right? He started a tomato processing factory because the farmers, since France and them wasn't there no more, and America didn't want to ship out the tomatoes that they had, and the farmers' tomatoes was going bad, he started a tomato processing factory. So he's buying the tomatoes from the farmers. Oh, man. Black people doing business with black people. He's buying the tomatoes from the farmers, not Europeans, and he's processing it to sell to Europeans. Talk back to me. Talk back to me. See, white folks don't like answering to black people. They don't like that. See why I'm saying the economic shift? This is big news that's going on, but they don't want you to hear about it. They want you to think about ditties and bubbles and astroglides and baby oil. I know I promote it because it's news, but they bombard us with that because they want to distract us from the real things that's going on. A postal bank, a Burkina Faso. He started a bank because of right now he's joining BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South Africa, and many other countries that started their money to rival the American dollar. So they don't use American dollar over there. Talk back to me. They using the BRICS because the American dollar's on full. They got their own bank. We got all these billionaires in hip hop. What the hell is going on? But they scared of their former slave masters. So we ain't got no bank. And if the banks that we do have, like I heard that Janet Jackson and Michael Jordan and Michael Johnson has in Atlanta, that's ran by white folks. That's ran by white folks. They don't never give us nothing solely for ourselves because it's going to be a power shift. Two powers can't occupy the same space at the same time. You see why when LeBron is playing and you got another superstar on his team and he's shining like LeBron, what happened? LeBron threw a tantrum because you taking my shine. Two powers can't occupy the same space. It's going to be controversy. If another say we need everything back like this, yeah, they scared. Yeah, they terrified. The horticultural development, infrastructure and transportation. Now they have an airport expansions. They upgraded their roads. They was given they was given new construction trucks from different countries to build their roads. Man, they're making New York City over there, man. He's doing this in 1 year. 1 year. One man in a poor country that we consider to be poor because we got all these rappers that's millionaires and billionaires and all these black actors that's millionaires and billionaires and these people that's buying studios like Tyler Perry and talking about millions, and we ain't got shit because you scared of your former slave master, so you don't want to unite. We in the hood, we gonna help you. We gonna be your military might. You just gotta get some balls, get some kahunas, and stand up like a man. Don't stand up there with a suit and tie because you make a lot of money and you take care of these bullshit responsibilities and you want to tell us how to be a man. You ain't being a man because you's a yes man over there. I know it. I know because they got gatekeepers that's gonna make sure you do right. That's why most of your managers and your producers and everything, they're all Jews. Watch this nigga here. See, they don't like Cat Williams. Cat Williams tell too much truth. That's why he gonna go bust so far. Imagine if we had all the power and we can be in charge and they begging us for this and that. Here for the knowledge says. I could imagine it, but it's going to happen because it's written. Why you think J. Edgar Hoover, when he wrote the COINTELPRO program, he wrote a Pacific memo. He said we have to watch out for the Black Messiah. That's biblical language. That's not no ordinary book. He read something that told him and the government, no, that Black people is going to rise and they're going to have a Messiah that comes. I don't know. It could be a Messiah from different people that's saying different things. That means the same thing. We are too busy looking for one man instead of the message. The message alone is the Messiah. That's the message. We just caught up looking for Jesus. You looking for a dead man? That's what you're looking for? I thought he already laid the blueprint in the Bible for you. So what you waiting for him to come back for? He already put it in the book. Prophet Muhammad, he put it in the book. You over there waiting for some Mahdi. Yo, we waiting on the Mahdi. He gonna come. If you ain't listening to what's in the books, you ain't gonna listen to Jesus or the Mahdi. So what's the sense? But we ain't gonna get off course, right? Okay. Healthcare improvement. Like I said, he got free healthcare over there now. Like Cuba. Got free healthcare. But we don't. But we're the greatest nation in the world, right? He has now built 15 more clinics, 36 more hospital vehicles, 3 oxygen units, and 4,000 free cataract surgeons, and among other supplies. God damn, he's busy. He's busy. That's why you ain't hearing about this, because white folks don't want you to know. Turn on the TV right now, you're going to hear about Remy Ma. Turn the TV right now. What you going to hear about? P. Diddy. That got the keys to the city with urine. That's what you're going to hear. Now they talking about his Tootsie Roll. Now they want you to concentrate on the size of his penis. What's going on TV, man? This is what they told. They went from a Rico to a penis. This is what they want us to focus on, but not this. Come on, buckle up. It's going to get deeper. Cultural and educational reforms. Oh, man. I think I froze. Oh, there you go. Okay. Cultural and educational reforms. 100% African attire, in-course and traditional fossil d'enfant textile for schools. So in other words, all that French European stuff, all those clothing, even the language was primary. He removed it. I want everything that's in school is African attire, African music, African pledges. Take all that European stuff off. You ain't white. Like I said, the primary language was French, and it blew my mind because the other day I had a party and I was with an African dude and we was talking, and I was like, "Where in Africa you was at?" And he told me. He said, "Burkina Faso." I said, "Oh snap!" And I knew a little bit about this. But when he was talking to his friend, they wasn't talking African. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, "Yo, you talking French?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "That's our primary language in Burkina Faso." But he had moved from there and he went to France because he's accustomed to being around white people speaking French. He said that's our primary language. But Ibrahim now says, nah, that's a wrap. You could speak it, but the first language, when you get in this school and you learn, is our language. For us, by us. Talk back to me. I love this man, right? Oh, that was the language policy, they call it. So that language, that French language, that's dropped from school. You're not going to be taught French because you're not French. It's good to be bilingual and have multiple languages, but he wants his people to know themselves and have the knowledge of themselves and not be confused to thinking there's something they're not, like black people in America. Y'all all right out there? Did I rub you the wrong way? Oh, nah. I just hope y'all want you to think. As of right now, he had 18 attempt assassinations on his life. 18. They did that Fidel Castro in Cuba. He had over 100. It got so bad that when they cooked his food, he had to let the cook eat some of the food first before he tried. He did that to the day he died. So you know this brother is on point. To the point his people are so loyal, they came out and told him and the media that, yo, they tried to bribe me. One of his people, they said they tried to bribe him $5 million. The United States and France tried to bribe him for $5 million and told him he will be put in power if he could get rid of Ibrahim Traore. He said, man, I'm not no traitor. No, under no circumstances that I would trade myself for wealth over my people. No. They like, God damn. And they got sanctions on them. Guess what? No. No sanctions. They're afraid of him. It's too late. You can't have no sanctions. Even if they put sanctions on them, China's backing them, Japan backing them, Russia's backing them. You can't, South Africa, Rwanda, Ghana, out, yo, you got so many African countries that standing up for them because this is what they wanted. They needed somebody to actually have the balls to stand up to these Europeans in the Western system to say, yo, that's it. You're going to get up out of here. We're going to drag you up out of here. And you could listen to his words. It was so inspirational that they had no choice to rise up with him against them. Now, you got certain countries that's with him right now, right? You got, matter of fact, let me show you something. Let me show you the, let me see if I can get it up. Let me see if I can get it up here. Hold on. I actually want to show you how much oil and gas these countries have, right? On the side. Let me see if I. I want you to see how much gas they have and how much oil they have in Africa as a whole. All right, as a matter of fact, hold on. In fact, I'm gonna go to my phone. Go to my phone, make it more quicker, more easier. You know, so I could get right into it with y'all. Okay, you see all the blue? You see all of that? All that blue in Africa? That's how many countries have gas and oil. The ones that's light doesn't. Look how much Africa has gas and oil. This is where we actually really getting our gas and oil from. Look at that. So how the hell are they broke? How the hell you got floods and they talking about send money and donate to kids because they're starving? No, you're milking a goddamn country. You're causing that. It's nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. And they're kicking them out. Talking about, yo, it's time for you to go, right? You got Ghana. Kick them out, right? Major export. Ghana is one of the top gold producers in Africa. One of the top. Bauxite, used in aluminum production. See, this is where we get our aluminum foils and everything that's aluminum, right? Manganese, important for steel production. Oil and natural gas, offshore oil fields like Jubilee. Coca, while not a mineral, it's a critical horticultural export. South Africa, again, gold. Look, man. They need to stop having them traveling and visiting Africa. No, some of them have done that. Oh yeah, some of them had canceled those US visas. Some of them you can't even fly over there. They don't want no American. They don't want no, because some of them feel like some of us that come over there is house niggas. They don't want, and I can't even fault them for that, because every time you turn around, you got one of them house Negroes that want to sit up there on TV and talk for the government. They always want to use us to go against us, just like they use Barack. when Bush was in office and everything was going to hell and we didn't want to deal with the government no more. And they sensed that black people wasn't voting no more. Then they put Barack. Where Barack came from? You ain't hear about Barack until he started running for president. Talk back to me. That's because they put him there. He was selected. He was selected, not elected. And they knew that we was going to be like, yo, it's a black president. Meanwhile, we had 16 black presidents before Abraham Lincoln. But we didn't know that because they took it out of education, out of the education in schools for us. So when we saw Barack, we thought, yeah, we was going to be lit. But yet he killed Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, who was the president of Libya, who started and created the United States of Africa to get black people to stand up in Africa to run Europeans out. And Barack pushed the button that killed him. That's your brother. Talk to me. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, you know now. Talk to him. He killed the brother. The brother, they weren't even in debt. They got all they had, they weren't even in debt. 90% of the country's black. He had them living on free healthcare. And you, the brother you put in office, killed that man so our people, our brothers and sisters over there could be back in poverty. Talk back to me. But that's your brother. Now look, South Africa, gold. They got gold too. Historically, one of the world's largest producers is another one of the largest producers. You see why I always tell people gold is money, but y'all running around here talking about, brother told me, he said, yo man, gold is old school. They don't wear that no more. No, you stupid. No, I won't say that. Excuse me. I won't say people, my brothers and sisters, stupid. I'm going to say you're ignorant, which means you're unaware. You think gold ain't no cost something. They don't want you having gold. That's why you go to the jewelry store right now. You get a little spaghetti chain like this. They want $5,000. They want to make sure you don't buy gold no more. And you could wear that bull crap like this that glitters, that looks like diamond. You could wear that and make it look good while they keep all the real gold. All right. Y'all all right out there? All right. Platinum group metals. PGMs, world's largest reserve. Diamonds, major diamond producer. It's really worth nothing, but Europeans put a price on it. So they take those little rocks you could kick down the street in Africa, and they send it over there, and they put minerals on it, and they make it look good and shiny and put a price on it, and you think you bling blinging. Go take a diamond and go take a gold chain to the jewelry store and watch how much you get more for gold and watch how more you get for diamond. As a matter of fact, go on Bitcoin or one of those investment sites and invest in gold and invest in diamonds and see what costs more. See what costs more. I got my gold. I ain't giving it up. I ain't pointing it. Because when this thing go to hell, I got something to exchange. I just hope you do too. Monica says, I think they are supposed to be stopped making pennies in the USA. Yeah, they said that they was going to stop making pennies in the USA, which is copper, which they don't produce. Africa produces. Coal, significant domestic use and export. Iron ore, manganese, chromium, critical for industry and export. Uranium. See, they need uranium. This is what makes the bombs. This is what makes the atomic bomb. You need uranium. See, they need South Africa. Let's stop right there real quick. And we're going to get to the rest. So, South Africa, as you know, Donald Trump is upset. Elon Musk is upset. Why? Why? I just read it all to you, right? So the Europeans, when they started to leave Europe in the early 1900s, they wanted to colonize a part of the country for them, right? In Africa, because they know that's where the resources are at. They didn't want to be over here with their brothers and sisters and going through hell, because at this time they was looking like immigrants. You know what I'm saying? If you wasn't born over here, they didn't care about that European stuff. I mean, you was getting laws, you was getting over laws better than most black people, but they looked at you as still immigrants. Look at their Italians. They didn't respect Italians until like the 80s. They wasn't respecting them because they looked at all Italians as mafia figures. You know what I'm saying? So what they did, they started to search around the countries to find out how could they implement Jim Crow and how is the right way to implement Jim Crow. And they didn't, but they didn't call it Jim Crow. They was basically pretty much saying segregation. And different countries had their own different ways, but they was like, but when it came to America and it seen Jim Crow, they said, that's the way we're going to do it. So when they took over in the 50s, I believe it was in the 40s, the 40s in South Africa, named damn, I forgot the name of the party it was called. I'm sorry. I normally have this stuff written down, but I'm trying to go off freestyling a little bit. But it was a company that a party that they had where they won the election in South Africa, and then they started to change stuff and call it apartheid, which means in their language in France, I believe, is called apartness, means in separate. So this is where Mandela and them was fighting for. Like while we was fighting for Jim Crow, against Jim Crow, they was over here. They was over there fighting apartheid at the same time. When Malcolm was over here fighting, and Farrakhan and Elijah and all of them was fighting, the Panthers and all of that was fighting, Nelson Mandela was over there fighting apartheid at the same time. See, they don't want to tell you all that. This is why Malcolm started to travel. As you see in the movie, he went to Saudi Arabia, but that wasn't the only place he went. And he got poisoned out there by the CIA. Remember the guys that was following him on the camels and taking pictures? That's not FBI. FBI deals with internal affairs. Outside the country, the CIA deals with that. So why the hell the CIA was following Malcolm? Y'all forgot to mention that when y'all start criticizing black people for killing Malcolm. You didn't mention that part. It's because Malcolm was bringing the affairs of black people in America on a world issue. Now he was bringing that affairs along with Mandela and everybody that was oppressed by white people in Africa. He had to go. He had to go because you was ahead of your time. You wasn't supposed to focus on that yet. You're supposed to focus on what's going on at home. But you don't have an army to start doing world affairs, my man. He got his neck blown out. You know what I'm saying? And he got shot up real bad. But not to go off guard, but this is where Elton Musk come from. So when his family decided to migrate over there because they didn't want to come to the Americas, they figured it was more appropriate to come over there because their apartheid was more, how would I say, it was more stronger than Jim Crow over here, but Jim Crow was more violent. I would say that. They had a pretty much stronghold over there as an apartheid in South Africa. And then Mandela was fighting to get rid of that. And they jailed him for 20-something years. So upon his release, people were thinking Jim Crow left. Jim Crow ain't never leave. They just started being judges and lawyers and police officers. Sounds familiar? All right. So Elton Musk, they want to get rid of the South African president because what they did was they did what Ghana did. Listen, you saying this is your land? Show us some paperwork where this is your land because we got families that's still here for centuries that's saying this was their land. No, we bought that. Get out. Get off the land. So what Elton Musk found out, I can't get my people on it. They said, we don't care about you and your people. And they put a 25% tariffs on his car. That's why it can't even go over there now because he can't afford it. They can't afford it. It's not bad. He just can't afford it. They made sure he couldn't afford to ship his cars over there. They building their own cars like Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, that president, that young brother, they building their own cars. That rivals Japan. And they need the minerals from Burkina Faso to continue to make their Japanese and Asian cars. Japanese and Chinese cars. Without that, you ain't getting no Toyotas, buddy. Them things gonna be real hard to get sooner or later. He hope they're making his cars. This is why Donald Trump and Elton Musk is so upset because the apartheid families that was over there in those lands, they don't have connections to get this gold. They don't have connections to get all of these minerals anymore to make them happy. So Donald Trump says, you know what? I'm going to show white America that I love my people. They got visas. All the families could come over here. So now he's bringing all the racist apartheid families to America. But that's good because they're gonna get a goddamn rude awakening when they come over here. This ain't South Africa. We will gun you down. You heard about the two Klan brothers that wore the sheets up. Where was it? New Orleans, I believe. And they came over there to make a statement because of Rodney Henson case. And what happened? They got left. I saw you heard on social media. We are not our ancestors. You see what's going on in Africa? We are not our ancestors. And assume we're going to bridge the gap because it's all happening at the same time for them. They're catching hell over there and they're catching hell over here. We are not our ancestors. Now, Trump, he calls the South African president. Oh, first he calls Ibrahim Traore to come over, right? I keep mispronouncing this brother's last name. But I'm going to say Ibrahim, okay? He offered an invitation to come to the White House. Brother was smart. We don't need no invite. I already said what I had to say in IMF in front of all of y'all faces. What we need to sit down and talk about. The only thing we need to sit and talk about is business, and we could do that behind closed door. We don't need to do that for a camera. That means you got something up the sleeve. Can never trust these sort of people, man. These Caucasians here, man. Not all. I'm talking about the ones in high places. You can't trust them. Can't trust them. So Ibrahim, he refused. Now, he called the South African president. Because the South African president, he got sanctions put on him. Not that he gives a hell. He got gold and oil over there. What you doing? You need me before you. He's looking at this. You need me before I need you. And he's now down with BRICS. He's changing his money from the American money to that. He ain't down with that no more. So they want to call him over to be friends. Elton want to get his cars over there. They want to keep getting the minerals over there to make white society look good and live good. Because you got the Odell society over there, who's the boys who actually think that they're the original Africana peoples, and Africa is actually their home. Then you got not only Odell, but you got the Odell people that actually feels that they want to stay segregated. And they feel that black people shouldn't tell them nothing, that you're not in charge of them. They got another one in South Africa called Arenia, where no black people could come in there. This is all apartheid. Trump ain't talking about that. So he called the South African president over there to sit down. The brother thought they was going to talk about business. Immediately, he tried to hit the brother with the press talking about white genocide. I'm pretty sure you saw it on TV. He said, we got white genocide going over there where they're being killed from white farmers. He said, what you talking about? He said, let me show you what he's talking about. Let me show you. Matter of fact, we ain't even going to do it. We're going to just use my phone. We're going to just use my phone because that takes too much time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. He's talking about there's so many deaths going on over there. And man, please. This is what he's talking about. You see all those white crosses? All those white crosses. I want you to look at that real quick. So Trump tried to say this is white genocide, where every farmer that was killed for their property, those are the crosses where they was buried at along with white families. This is what he tried to show the brother. The brother looking at it like, what? So he asked Trump. He said, wait a minute. This is what he did. He did like this. He said, and this is in South Africa? Trump said, yeah, all in front of Elton Musk and all the white press and all that. So he said, where is that in South Africa? Trump said, oh, I don't know. They didn't tell me. How you going to have something in Africa with a picture of white genocide, but you don't know the location? Then Trump looked at it. He said, but it's South Africa, though. The president ain't pay him no money. He said, yeah, back to business. Stop lying. Stop lying. Then he showed another one where there was a Red Cross and they was picking up bodies and they was putting in a burial, right? And he was like, this is the white genocide. Now, this is not South Africa. White folks, this is your own people now saying this. They told President Trump, you're a liar. This is white folks. This is how us do research. We say, yeah, you are lying. So the one with the white crosses deal with a family called the Rafferty. It's Glenn and Dr. Rafferty. There was an elder couple. Everyone liked them in the community. They were farmers and they were doctors. And what happened was several men broke into their house while they was away, wherever they was doing, and started stealing stuff. And, you know, they stole jewelry, they stole money. And what happened is they found a safe. So instead of just taking what they did, they stayed in the house and they waited for this couple to come home, right? Yes, they were black people. They waited for these white people to come home and end up getting into the safe and killing these people. These individuals are right now was brought to justice in South Africa. One was called, sure, man. Put it like this, because this killing happened in 2020 in August, right? It was called, in that area, it's called KwaZulu Natal, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4 individuals were sentenced behind this. 2 was sentenced in February 2021. He pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 25 years for each murder and 10 years for the robbery, and they ran it concurrent, right? Another one was arrested February of 2021, pleaded guilty in March 2021, and was sentenced, excuse me. Those was 2 individuals. I had just read. That wasn't one. And the other 2, they were, no, that was one individual. The other 2, Dr. Fouquin and another one, was sentenced for housebreaking theft in November of 2022. Each of them will receive life sentences with an additional 21 years, right? The other one, the last one, he was going to be sentenced and tried, but he died before he was ever convicted. These are the people that you saw on the cross. The other one was in the DR of Congo, where there was a rebel attack, where is a civil war going on. So Red Cross is over there to supply medical needs. You know how Red Cross do it. They did it over here with the Hurricane Katrina. So they was burying the bodies. Here go Trump and his people. They always want to use propaganda and technology to make you think otherwise. What was the need for you to even question and invade South Africa with all of this nonsense? You got to worry about your own house. You ain't in South Africa. You're not in South Africa. You're not a South African. You're not African at all. You're a pale-faced, red-faced European. So why are you worried about that? Because of Elton? Elton don't even live over there no more. So why are you worried about? Why are you so focused on getting white people to come over here to be immigrants, and you chasing all the people of color out? You don't see this racist bull crap that's going on? This is what he tried to do, right? It's funny. Let me show you how the enemy acts, right? When they get caught in the lie. Let me show you how they act. Now, this is one of Trump's spokesperson, right? They always have a person that's like a public relation officer that go out there and talk to the press about all the dirty stuff they're trying to cover up. So they use somebody to go out there to lie for them, right? But you got to look at her face when she started lying. Look how when the sister questioned her. Look at this.
1,000 burial sites of white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose to show that it's not true the video was showing a burial site. It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that video showed the crosses that represent
What the president claimed.
the video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin.
The president
And those
claimed
crosses
that
are
it was showing
representing their
burial.
lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it.
If I could get
Are
to
you
my question.
disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the
No,
White
it did
House
show that. It
who
showed
at the-
white crosses representing people who have perished because of
White
racial
House
persecution.
verified
No, it didn't. It
the
just showed white
president
crosses.
showed? And what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to
Yamiche,
show?
what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument. And the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated. And that's a ridiculous line of questioning.
It's a ridiculous line of questioning. She said she should take it up with that media outlet, but you up here promoting it. You say you got substantial proof. How you get it? From the media press. Really? You ain't get it from the government. You got it from the media. You see the technology? You can never believe the enemy, man. They always lying, always lying, always lying, always lying. But after that, like I said, they've been crushing them behind this lie with this cross and all this other barriers that they try to push on the South African president, right? Then they try to pull on another brother named Malamama. Yeah, that's his name. I'm pretty sure that's the way you pronounce his name. He's like a revolutionary over there. He got our South African people riled up. He'd be like, "Oh yeah," and they be dancing. So Trump, when he had the South African president up there, he was like, "Look at this guy. He should be arrested." Because what the brother is saying is, listen, like I said, you can't have revolution without blood, and you can't spill blood without having revolution. You know how these white folks are. We know how white supremacy are. We got to kill the oppressors and run the oppressors out. Trump is all, unalive them. He pretty much was saying that. I ain't gonna lie. He was like, "Yo, kill them." What? Yeah, he said kill. I don't want to say the word, but you know the complexion. He was like, "Yo, kill him." Straight up. He was on his Nat Turner stuff. He got the whole stadium rocking. You have to see. I mean, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. Now you got to see this, yo. So Trump, it's such a threat. Trump started talking about him. He said, "Listen, you got all of that white people over there." It's like, oh my God, like, it's a revolution going on, right? But you also have white people over there that I've seen on TikTok that says there's no white genocide. There says no white genocide going over there. Only Trump saying it's white genocide because they want to have a reason to come over there and start bombing stuff and killing innocent people so they could get what they want. But it ain't happening. South Africa shut that down. It ain't working no more. All those, because that's a Sierra Leone. Those were the diamonds. The diamonds mostly come from. That's in South Africa. That's a wrap, baby. It's over. Let me see. Oh, this is what Trump was talking about. Hold on. Let me show. Hold on.
Donald Trump froze. So no wonder.
All right, so I must type it up. Check this man. Check my man out.
We do what we like.
Look at all them black people. Look at all them black. Shoot to kill. Look at all them black people. This is like, he's like the Black Panther King over there. He talking about, look how he talk.
In whites' favor, we do what we like. Even when whites say, don't come here, we go where whites say, don't come. Because we get no instruction from no white man. Not even staying here and will tell us what to do. When a white man says, don't vote for me, we vote for him by force. There's nothing he can do. What can he do? We don't need any white's favor.
We don't need nothing from you. Trump put him on the, Trump said, shut the lights off. And he got the South African president sitting there while after all this bull crap that I just talked about with the crosses. He put homeboy up there. He said, what about this guy? He's talking about killing white people. He should be arrested. This South African president did like this. He said, he ain't say nothing because he with it, because you know why? He's right. He's right. If you don't want to give up what we have, then you got to die. And it's going to get like that because it's not just them. It's Rwanda, it's Zimbabwe, it's Nigeria, it's Niger, it's Algeria, it's Kenya, it's Sudan. Yo, most of them already banned U.S. visas. But they don't want you to hear this because you see what we're doing right now. Imagine if we're communicating and now we start using our funds with one another. We can make our whole country inside of a country. We don't need to go for them to get gold. Oh, I forgot. They put it, I forgot, me and my wife be watching the TV with the airport smuggling. Yeah, they want you to pay taxes for gold. But we don't need them. We'll figure it out. We're smart. We get out of any situation. If we got out of slavery, we get out of any situation. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, this is what's going on in the world. And they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know. It's a revolution that's going on right now as you see this or we speak in Africa, throughout Africa. And whatever president ain't feeling that in Africa, sooner or later, you're going to get uprooted because they're trying to take the whole continent for themselves. And once they control that entire continent for themselves, the whole Western power shifts. It shifts to black power. Why? Because they're the ones that control the minerals in those countries. Once black folks take that over, what's that's going to happen to white people over here? What's going to happen to the aluminum, the copper? What's going to happen to the gold? You need microphones, you need money, you need all that. All that is in Africa. And China, all of them, they get resources from there and they do what they do in here and they send it over here and say made in China and Japan. Ain't nothing made over here. The only thing made over here is death and destruction. That's it. So you better buckle up because with all this terrorist going on and this whole economic, man, I just paid for something in the mail. This tariff, the goddamn shipping and handling it was $20. I said, God damn. It's an economic shift. It's an economic shift. Everything going up. If you have a business, your business owner may be going up on you. And you running your own small business, guess what happened? Then you have to go up on your customers. They may not understand it because you know what? They not into business. They into a 9 to 5. So their mindset is not situated and fit onto business. It's just fit onto survival mode by working for somebody. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all can't be business owners. But you have to, when you see those prices go up, you have to say, man, there's a lot going on. I see what I'm saying. There's a lot going on. Now, let me finish it up because I kept you out here long enough. Y'all all right out there? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend. I'm speaking some knowledge. I'm speaking some stuff that's good for you to know. It's best for you to know because if you don't get it here, you may not get it nowhere else. I'm not saying that I'm the only one talking the truth, but I'm just saying when you tune in here, you're going to get a message. You're not going to just get propaganda. And even if I do talk about propaganda, it's a message in it. That's why I love talking. I just don't be talking about gangbang. I don't even talk about that no more. You know why? Because it's but so much you can say. It's the same thing. Rico law, everybody snitching. You get caught up. You on a video. You showing guns. You snitching on yourself. locked up. You say everybody told on you, but you told on yourself. You put everything on Texas. Texas don't go away. I don't have nothing else to say about gangbanging. I really don't. It's not an interest to me anymore unless I'm talking to someone individually, you know what I'm saying, and I'm trying to help them out getting out of it or giving the scoop about it. But I don't want to talk about it no more. That's the past for me, you know. So let me say, Ghana. No, matter of fact, I already talked about South Africa. Zimbabwe got sanctions on them, right? U.S., the Europe, and the U.K. Reasons: land reform policies. Land reform policies. It means Zimbabwe said, white folks, you off this land. This is going down. It's black power, not the one in America. Those are brothers, but it's over here. That's why my thumbnail, I got the black power. Hey, look what it said. It said free Africa. I didn't make that. Me. They made that up. Even homeboy that was talking in the back, he got the black power fist. I said, that's my man. Reasons: land reform policies, seizure of white-owned farms without compensation. In other words, give me this, you ain't getting nothing. Bye. You sink your land. Allegations of election rigging and human rights abuses under Robert Mugabe. Now, Mugabe was like, he was like Idi Amin. He was different. He didn't even want to see your papers. If the family came and you lived and you had access to that, I mean, you had paperwork that connected to you that land, you had 24 hours to pack up and leave. If not, you was either getting jail or you was getting removed by force, which means you was gonna get killed. They did not like Robert Mugabe, boy. They jailed him. His people turned their backs on him, just like Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And then want to blame some little soft Negro that betrayed. That's what they do with Judas. They said Judas betrayed Jesus. No, his whole people betrayed him. And if he came today, you will betray him too. And I'm not pointing at you. I'm just saying in general, because if Jesus come, you remember he was an Israelite. He didn't eat pork. So all that pork chop and pork grinds that you was eating, that's going to stop. The smoking weed, that's going to stop. The drinking, that's going to stop. The smoking, that's going to stop. And then you want to turn around and say, kill Jesus. See? And that's what they did back in that time. It was all right when he started showing them how to eat, showing them get out of the oppression of the Roman soldiers, and it was all good. Jesus is the man. But as soon as he started correct their behavior to make them better people, and he told them they had to cut out their vices, then he became the enemy. And they killed them. Sanction type: travel bans, asset freezes on individuals, and restrictions on government-to-government aid. This is the sanctions on Zimbabwe. They don't give a hell. They got gold over there. They got gas over there. they got resources over there. They don't need this country. See, Cuba is different. They don't have those resources. That's why Cuba looked the way it still looked. But these Africans, they don't need. You need them. We need them. They don't need us. Sudan, they got sanctions, reasons: human rights violations and the conflict in Darfur. Support for terrorism in 1990. Sanction statutes. Many were lifted in recent years, but some remain due to ongoing instability and violence. That's because they can't control it. So they're gonna put sanctions on them, and that's how it goes. That's how it goes. You see, they did it with Canada. See, they try to do it with Japan. They try to do it with China. China's not in debt. They don't care. You in debt. You don't have we don't have nothing over here. And this fool in there talking about, yo, we got sanctions. I'm gonna set it up. And we're gonna cause a riot in this country, because when people can't pay for eggs and can't pay their rent, can't pay for food, and you talking about you cutting back on public assistance and all that, then the next best thing to do is start stealing food. And if we can't do that, the next best thing is people want to start getting killed for stealing out of Dollar Tree. Yo, that's how this thing go. Starvation is a mother. I heard, man, a week without eating, 2 weeks without eating, the average person will start eating another human being. Matter of fact, hold on. Okay. because I kind of skipped something. I was talking about the sanctions. All right, because I'm gonna wrap it up soon. Zimbabwe, number 3. What do they have? Resources. These are countries that got the sanctions on them. This is why they mad. They want to put sanctions on them. Platinum, one of the top global producers. They lost that. White folks mad. Gold, here we go again. A major contributor to the economy. Diamonds, especially from marine fields. Chrome, rich in high-grade chromite. Coal and nickel used domestically for export. Lithium, growing in the global importance due to electric vehicles. So if they say, yo, we ain't letting that no more go, all those electric cars you got, all those push-start cars, that's a wrap, baby. The Congo, Kobe, world's largest producer, critical for batteries, just like the last one, batteries, right? Copper, among the top global producers. Diamond, industrial and gem quality stones. Coltan, columbite and tantalum used in electronics. Gold, especially in an eastern region. Tin and zinc, smaller but notable productions. Nigeria, nigger, with Niger. This is what they get the word nigger from. Uranium is among the top uranium producers globally. They need this country. They need these countries. How they gonna make their bombs? See why China is so friendly now? The Orlet and Archon mines in the north are especially sufficient. France and other countries have historically relied on Nigerian uranium for nuclear energy. Told you, nuclear. Without uranium, you ain't letting nothing off. And if you let it off, other countries are going to be watching you like, oh, you down a bomb. Now I'm the head one in charge. See how this go? That's why they say, people, I hear white people say, oh, if it was me, I won't do nothing. I'll just send a missile over there. Now, it don't work like that. Just don't work like that. You just don't send nukes over there because you got it. Because everybody else got nukes and they waiting for you to start sending some over. So you could be short. It takes a long time and a lot of money to build a nuke. All right. Again, here we go with gold. All these countries with gold, man. Gold production has increased recently, especially in the Leptako region, shared with Burkina Faso. Oil, we already been through that. Coal, iron, tin. This is what they all got. And right now, Burkina Faso, as far as the African countries, they had 2 other countries along with Burkina Faso. They created something called the Satchel. The Satchel set is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria. They are building a bigger coalition for something that's special. I haven't really done too much research in it yet, but it's dealing with oil and gas because what they want to do is they want to supply the entire world with it. And they want to have control of it. No white folks. What does that say? That's the end of white supremacy. It's the end of white supremacy. Because you could say what you want to say over here to us, but when you get in them boardrooms and you got to do business, you got to answer to the black. See why they didn't like Black Wall Street? Because we ran them out of business to the point when it's time for buying stuff and distribution, they had to come answer to us, and they didn't like that. They didn't like they had to call us sir and ma'am. They didn't like that. So they made up all kind of cock and bull excuses to have a reason to destroy our city. But you could destroy it. We're going to just build another one. Yeah, we'll be back. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. You know why I say? I tell white folks this. Look what we had in 1831. We didn't have a house. We didn't have our own food. We didn't have our own schools. We didn't have our own language. We don't have our own names. We didn't have nothing. Look what we got now. We got mansions, we got houses, we got cars, we got guns to blow your head off. You call us a nigga, we'll slap your neck off and won't go to jail for it. You losing your power. Look at this black man I just played. You think he could talk like that to white folks in the 1800s? No. No, not in their faces. But look at what's going on today. This is why they're not trying to show y'all, brothers and sisters. They don't want y'all to see that as a revolution that's going on right now. Right now, it's going on. Rodney Hinton Jr. Look what he did. And he's not the only one that's killing police right now. But they're not airing it on TV because you know what? It's going to spark a revolution. Just look what his case just brought. Just him alone. Rodney Hinton. Everybody on social media is bigging him up. Black man, yeah, freedom, yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, you do have some that says, that what he did was wrong because it was an innocent person that he killed. And that's because you don't understand street life, you don't understand organizations, and you don't understand gangbanging. It's called guilty by association. When you sign up for the army and there's a war with another country, and you go out there, your job in your mind is you going at the military, you're against the president in there and all of this and that, right? When you run into somebody that dressed like them, but he ain't down with all the shenanigans, what you gonna do? Let him walk? No, you're gonna kill him. You know why? Because it's guilty by association. You got the hat on, you got the uniform on, you got the same pledge in your mind, you got the same inside of your mind, and that's how Rodney Hinton looked at it when it came to the police. You have a blue wall, you have a blue uniform or gray uniform, you still follow the law enforcement guidelines, you still protect one another with the good cop, bad cop, which means if you're a good cop, that means you cover up all the bad crime that the bad cops are doing. That's considered a good cop. So you know what? You're guilty by association. That's why you fit the description. Talk back to me. You fit the description. They don't want you hearing all of that. Because the next person that does something, that individual is going to kill police because he done set the trend. He done set the trend. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm happy as hell. I'm sorry. I know, don't get me wrong. I got a lot of cop friends. You know what I'm saying? I got some that was in my family that was in law enforcement. Yo, I dig it. You know what I'm saying? But you choose that side. So you got to accept what comes with that side. If your people out there oppressing people, then you got to get what's coming in. You can't say what's wrong. When they kill us, do y'all say it's wrong? Do you say, oh, he was innocent? No, you make up lies, you rig the camera, you do all that bull crap, and then you stand in the courtroom and you lie. Rodney Hinton did what he did. It's 30 of y'all, 50 of y'all in the room. Y'all let us know where y'all stand. So we back in Africa. We letting y'all know where we stand. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, thank you for listening. God bless. I know I had y'all here for almost 2 hours. I was trying to be here for about, 10 minutes, but, my wife, she be in there hating and all that. No, I'm just playing. But, y'all, I see y'all later. Y'all have a good night. Peace and blessing.